Welcome back. So I hope you enjoyed meeting Maria, and and we can follow her as we go to see how she applies OK Pal to her situation with her manager. But back to you. The last section of our welcome is all about your goals. So let's just contextualize this. I've mentioned that this is about communication, but it's also about communication to prevent or resolve conflict. When we don't communicate well, it can suddenly become a disagreement, or it can lead to us feeling alienated from another person. And that's really what conflict is. So let's have a think about um, a model for conflict. And we're going to use the conflict stairs by Glasl, Frederick Glasl, his model. So what we've got here are 9 steps of conflict. And as it says at the top, I've put our aim is to recognize and address conflict before it escalates. And an exercise you can do for yourself as we go along is, think about what these stairs might look like, say stair 3, 6, and 9. I'll go through them, what they might look like in your workplace, or if you feel comfortable to in your personal life as well. I just always say, when you're thinking about conflict or difficulty in your own life, just go gently with yourself. So maybe your workplace, if you have a workplace or your equivalent, might be just a step aside, which is great. So the first step is that we feel a little bit of tension. Maybe something's not quite right, and we just feel it. I want you to get really used to feeling a sense of tension in your body. Our bodies are our very first indicators as to whether we're in that interpersonal tension zone. So maybe we leave it at step 1, but at step 2, we might get into a bit of a debate, a bit of I hear you, but this is what I think, a bit of to and fro, which may resolve things immediately. But if it doesn't, and we've tried the debate a couple of times, we may step on to step 3, which is avoidance. It's too difficult, it's too uncomfortable, and actually I'm feeling a little bit annoyed. So I don't talk about it anymore. I am just going to avoid it. Sometimes that resolves things. It just sorts itself out in time. But if it doesn't, and the issue is actually something of importance, then we might move out of the green zone into this amber zone. Step 4, there might be alliance, my side and their side. What do you think? Do you agree with me, or do you agree with them? Or there might be a little bit of attack, some barbed comments in a meeting, or some just little comments that have some edge to them. By 5, we're at the step of loss of face. This is going to be one person winning and one person losing. And the person who loses is going to lose some face. So now the stakes are higher, because what it's triggering here is a sense of potential shame or indignation or feeling affronted. That can lead us to 6, where we or the other person might start issuing some threats. Very often in my work as a mediator, I see people issuing threats. They think it's going to break through. They think it's going to topple the other person over, and that will do it. But actually, none of us like to be threatened. And as we'll see in our neuropsychology section, keep the brain in mind, actually feeling threatened reduces our ability to problem solve, reduces our ability to come to a good decision or any decision. So if the threats don't work, we're now feeling more alienated, and we can step into this red zone. 7 is the zone of destruction, where now we're starting to say or do things that are damaging our relationship, or damaging our team or an environment, or things that are of importance. By the time we get to step 8, there's elimination. You go or I go. I'm not standing for this. I can't stand it. One of us is going to have to go, is a kind of classic situation in elimination. But all too often, that leads to number 9, the point of no return, also known as into the abyss together. And that's where we, or they, collectively we, escalates things so much that both of us face some kind of elimination. There's a blazing argument. We are, now neither of us can be in this environment. And I just want to say that the devastation that can arise from this is horrendous. People losing or simply leaving their jobs because of this one relationship. And, the impact of that is, mortgages need to be paid, families need to be looked after. It's just devastating. And perhaps, someone will leave an organization, but, kind of throw a sort of something awful over their shoulder and jeopardize the other person's job as well. So both people's lives or healths or whatever it is are left in the most awful state. I'm really about people, having dialogue before that. So often, if people had said, actually, this is what I need from you, or this is how I felt, and this is what I needed, and this is what I need in the future, they could have worked their way back, even from step 8. So have a think about, what does this look like for you? And now very gently, have you experience of these different stares? What I do know is that this beautiful Rumi quote is a powerful one. And it says, beyond ideas of right and wrong, there is a field. I'll meet you there. So disagreements, disputes are often, I'm right, you're wrong, or this is such a wrong situation, or this would be perfect, anything else is wrong. And what we do in conflict resolution and in mediation and in just good communication is get out beyond right and wrong, which is just too binary. They're so kind of reductive in so many ways. We go out into the field of curiosity. We go and meet ourselves or the other person or our mediator, our coach, our advisor, whatever it is, out in that space, and we get really curious. And there we can start to work out where we are on a conflict stairs, if we are, and what might bring us back, and what it is that we really need. So I would like you to have a think about what situation or relationship might you like to work on as you go through this course. It doesn't have to be something that is full of conflict. In fact, the easiest way is to make it much more small stakes. Maybe there's a request you've got, like asking a manager for a fair workload distribution or flexible hours, or gently discussing boundaries with a family member who perhaps oversteps or understeps, requesting payment or clarity from a client or a collaborator, learning to express disagreement respectfully in a team meeting, saying no to a friend's request without feeling guilty, or asking a partner for more emotional or practical support. So just something small that would make a difference in your life, that would slightly take you out of your comfort zone. Okay, so you are going to see that you've got your workbook waiting for you. It's a Google Doc that you can download as a Word doc or copy out as your own Google Doc, as you prefer, so that you can write into it. In that workbook, I'd like you to write down a little bit about the relationship or situation that you're going to work on as you step through this course. And you might like also to fill in my Sting Raw questionnaire. So the sting raw questionnaire, which comes in your workbook, is something that I use to for my clients in mediation. It's based on a restorative justice approach, and certainly sting is something that I was taught in restorative justice as well. That's certainly not mine. The raw perhaps is. And sometimes you might want to do the sting first and wait and do the raw a bit later, and you'll see why. So the sting bit asks you to say a few words about the situation that you're facing. T stands for thoughts. What are your thoughts and feelings about it? So get from the situation, which is facts, into how is it affecting you? What are your thoughts when you're waking up at night with the situation? If you are, what are the thoughts that come to mind? This is going to be private to you, so you can be open and honest with yourself. Now, I stands for impact. How is this impacting you or others? Physiologically, is it making you feel stressed? Is it having an actual impact on your day-to-day life or on your working life, your career, your hopes and dreams, whatever it is? What are your needs? And yes, I'm inviting you to say to yourself, this is what I need. And I really mean it. Your need does not have to be something existential or, like to keep you going like oxygen. We all have human needs. And we'll come to this much more when we look at things like nonviolent communication. If you want to leap ahead to look up nonviolent communication, so much of what we talk about is inspired by and informed by my absolute love of NVC. So that's a really great place if you're stuck on needs, and I think I give you a link to that in the workbook. Then G stands for going forward or goals. So I think the original I saw was goals, but sometimes it's helpful for people to say, what would it look like going forward if things were better? Okay. Now we come to raw. It may be that right now you could identify in your situational relationship what you might request of somebody. If you could do it with absolute safety, what would you request of the other person? What would you ask of them? And secondly, on this raw section, what could you offer them? What do you think they need from you? If this is about quid pro quo or a sort of, us negotiating a new future, is there anything you feel that you could offer that might build trust or rapport, or, an low-hanging fruit? Is there anything that you need to acknowledge that it would be helpful to acknowledge? And that can be in the realm of things that you appreciate about the other person or acknowledging things that went wrong. Now, I'm not asking you to do this straight away with this person or necessarily at all, but it's part of creating a picture where you can see everything. And including that, there might be this last one, repairs. What needs to be repaired? What needs to, are there bits of your relationship that feel broken, that could be repaired? As we look at all of this, we take a tender and empathetic approach to ourselves, which has got to be the starting point, because only when we feel really compassionate towards ourselves will we feel geared up to advocate for ourselves and ask for us what it is that we want. But an important thing happens as we become more empathic and compassionate towards ourselves. We start to feel less threatened by the other person or angry towards them, or like they're a person with a huge amount of power, and we see that they are just a human as well, probably with a whole raft of thoughts, feelings, needs, and so on. So that's why it's just it's a consciousness building exercise to go through this. So take some time, put some nice music on, make sure you feel calm, and have a cup of tea beside you or whatever you like while you fill this in. This will be our kind of psychological caretaking for ourselves, that we just bring gentle attention to ourselves. As I say, it's for you. You don't need to share it with anyone. but this is very much part of how we learn to take care of ourselves as we go. And also, I'll be asking you to think about what is your best hope for taking this course. And that is really about this lovely practice that I see with my own mediation clients. When I meet them, they are so focused on the problem and it's become so magnified and it's so hurtful and so distressing that often they can't articulate even one hope. But over time, when I ask them more and more to think about their best hopes, they dare to see a future that looks not only about a life that doesn't have this awful situation or difficult situation or dispute or disagreement in it, but can start to look brighter and even fun or warm or enjoyable. And that, that fills our hearts. And when we can start to imagine or picture for ourselves or articulate a future that really makes us feel hopeful, now that is the fuel that we need to do the slightly difficult thing of having the conversation in which we ask for what we want and we search for those win-win scenarios. We're not here to bootstrap. We're here to take our lovely, sweet selves towards a better future. And starting to imagine that better future is part of how we do it. So this is your workbook assignment before we get going in depth in the course. 1, choose your one interpersonal relationship to work on. 2, think about where does this relationship sit on Glasl's conflict stairs. And I put relationship, but I mean situation as well. It's whatever works for you. 3, please have a go at completing the Sting Raw questionnaire, however you like. It can be 1 word or it can be 13 paragraphs, whatever works for you. And then 4thly, ask yourself, what is your best hope for taking this course? And I want you to return to that later and just see how much of that you have been able to create for yourself by the power of your unique and wonderful and amazing voice. Okay. And once you've done that, we will start on OK Pal Pillar 1, which is own your conflict style, which is really fun. There are some lovely models in that I hope you'll enjoy. Okay, lovely to meet you. See you in the next lesson. Bye for now.